In a world obsessed with planning, productivity, and personal goals, surrender almost feels like a dirty word. We're taught that success comes from strategy, from putting ourselves out there, making moves, and checking all the boxes. But when it comes to love, especially the kind of love that comes from divine guidance, strategy will only take you so far. Before the to-do lists, before the dating profiles, before asking God to bless your blueprint, there has to be surrender. Surrender isn't weakness, it's not waving the white flag in defeat. It's the quiet strength of choosing trust over control. It's the decision to stop forcing things and to start flowing with what God has already designed. When you surrender your love life to God, you're not saying you don't care anymore. You're saying, God, I believe that what you have for me is better than what I could build for myself. There's a difference between chasing and being led. Strategy often leads to chasing attention, chasing compatibility, chasing timing, but surrender leads to alignment. It allows you to be in the right place at the right time with the right person because you're following divine direction, not your own timeline. You can have the best dating strategy, the perfect list of qualities, and still end up with someone who's not aligned with your soul simply because you tried to lead where you were meant to follow. Surrender is the foundation of spiritual intimacy. When you trust God with your heart, you create space for Him to do the supernatural. You invite Him into the most vulnerable parts of your life, not just to protect you from heartbreak, but to prepare you for something sacred. You stop praying for someone who looks good next to me and start praying for someone who brings out the best in me. But let's be honest, surrender doesn't feel good at first. It means sitting in seasons where everyone else seems to be getting there happily ever after while you're left wondering when it'll be your turn. It means deleting numbers you were emotionally attached to, even though you knew deep down they weren't your future. It means not settling for a connection that checks all the surface boxes but lacks spiritual alignment. That's the part of surrender no one wants to talk about, the sacrifice, yet in the sacrifice there is security. Surrender anchors you. It grounds your emotions and centers your spirit. It keeps you from jumping into relationships that might feed your loneliness but starve your purpose. When you surrender before strategy, you're saying, God, I trust that you know me better than I know myself. You're choosing to be led instead of being driven, because surrender shifts your focus from when will I meet the right person to how can I become the right person. It's no longer about rushing into love, it's about being refined for love. It's a process of healing the wounds you used to hide behind, of breaking soul ties that never should have been formed, and of rediscovering your identity apart from relationship status. When you surrender, you stop negotiating with God. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes. You release the fear that says you'll miss out if you don't act fast. You begin to understand that what's meant for you will never require you to compromise who you are. Surrender teaches you patience, yes, but even more than that, it teaches you perspective. It shows you that the journey isn't about finding someone to complete you. It's about walking with someone who already completed the plan. There's a lie that culture has quietly sold us, that love is about finding your other half. It sounds poetic, even romantic, but the truth is far more empowering. You are not half of anything. You were never meant to walk around incomplete, waiting for someone to finish the puzzle. You are a full person with a full identity and a full purpose. And when you live from that truth, when you walk in wholeness, you don't attract a fixer or a filler. You attract someone who is whole just like you. Wholeness is not perfection. It's not having all your issues figured out or never feeling lonely. Wholeness is about stability. It's about emotional maturity, spiritual alignment, and the ability to stand strong in who you are, even when no one is standing next to you. It means you've faced your broken places, not covered them up. You've done the inner work, not just put on the outer image. You've learned how to be content, not complacent, but content, because you understand that peace doesn't come from people. It comes from being anchored in your identity. People often enter relationships thinking they'll be rescued. They look to others for healing, for validation, for worth. But that's not a relationship, that's dependency. And dependency creates imbalance. When one person is pouring while the other is constantly needing to be filled, what you have isn't love, it's emotional survival. That's why your wholeness matters, because only when you're whole can you truly give, not out of desperation, but out of overflow. Wholeness gives you clarity, it sharpens your discernment, you stop falling for potential and start recognizing patterns, you no longer confuse chemistry for compatibility, you understand that butterflies don't always mean blessings. And just because someone fits your type doesn't mean they're fit for your future. That's the power of being whole. Your standards aren't based on your insecurities, but on your identity. Wholeness also creates boundaries, healthy ones. You don't tolerate disrespect just because you're afraid of being alone. You don't stay in something toxic because you're scared you won't find better. When you're whole, you know that love is not supposed to hurt you into healing. You've already done the healing, so you're not impressed by people who try to take you back into brokenness. You can recognize dysfunction early, and you can walk away without guilt. That's what inner strength looks like. When two whole people come together, it's not about completion. It's about contribution. Each person brings something to the table. There's mutual respect, mutual growth, mutual purpose. That kind of relationship doesn't drain you, it develops you. It challenges you to be better, but never makes you feel like you're not enough as you are. You're not trying to fix each other. You're fueling each other. But here's the part that most people miss. Wholeness is a daily choice. It's not something you reach once and check off like a box. It's a process. It requires reflection. It requires forgiveness of others and of yourself. It means confronting your habits, your triggers, your patterns. It means looking in the mirror and asking hard questions. Am I emotionally available? Am I still carrying bitterness? Am I truly ready for the love I'm praying for? Because sometimes we want love, but we're not ready to hold it. We're still bleeding from the last relationship, still rehearsing what they did, still measuring new people by old wounds. Wholeness invites you to clean the wound, not just cover it with affection. It pushes you to become the person you would want to be with, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. When you do that, love becomes less about finding and more about aligning. Desire is loud. It demands attention. It fuels fantasies, feeds expectations, and often drives people into decisions that feel good in the moment but cost deeply later. And while desire is natural, part of being human, it was never meant to lead. What's meant to lead is discernment, the spiritual ability to sense what aligns with truth, what is good for your soul, and what carries the fingerprint of God. In the search for love, choosing discernment over desire isn't just wise, it's essential. Desire says, I want this now. It's impatient, it's impulsive, it's rooted in emotions and physical chemistry. Desire can make you overlook red flags, compromise your standards, and justify dysfunction simply because the connection feels intense or exciting. Discernment, on the other hand, says, let me pause, let me pray, let me pay attention to what I feel, but also to what I know. Discernment is the ability to see beyond charm, beyond attraction, beyond timing. It's spiritual insight that protects you from settling for something that's good on the surface, but destructive underneath. One of the biggest mistakes people make is mistaking connection for confirmation. Just because you vibe with someone doesn't mean they're divinely assigned to your life. Desire will have you clinging to someone based on potential, what they could be, what the relationship could become. Discernment reminds you to evaluate reality. Is this person consistent? Do they align with your values? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they inspire growth or provoke anxiety? Discernment also gives you the strength to walk away, even when your heart wants to stay. That's the hard part. Sometimes you'll have to let go of people you genuinely care about because God reveals they're not right for your future. They're not bad people, just not your people. Desire says, but what if they change? Discernment says, but what if staying stunts your growth? There's a peace that comes with discernment, even when it hurts. It may break your heart, but it won't break your spirit. Operating in discernment means being tuned into God's voice more than your own feelings. It means being still enough to listen and strong enough to obey, and sometimes that guidance won't make sense in the moment. You'll think, but everything looks good on paper. Why not this person? And that's where faith steps in, trusting that God sees what you cannot. He sees motives, he sees cycles, he sees the road ahead. He knows who will help you grow and who will hinder your destiny. Desire is focused on now. Discernment is focused on forever. Desire looks at attraction. Discernment looks at alignment. Desire settles for chemistry. Discernment demands clarity. That clarity might not always be immediate, but it comes to those who are willing to wait on God's timing and wisdom. It's easy to rush into something just to fill the void of loneliness, but discernment says, I'd rather wait in peace than rush into confusion. Another critical part of discernment is knowing yourself. Because the more you know your triggers, your tendencies, and your emotional patterns, the more you can separate what's real from what's reactive. Are you drawn to this person because they reflect health, or because they remind you of a familiar wound? Are you being pursued with purpose or with pressure? Discernment asks questions that desire doesn't want to hear. To live with discernment, you must invite God into the process, not just when things go wrong, but from the very beginning. You pray not just for the right person, but for the eyes to see them. You ask for wisdom to recognize what's real, strength to let go of what isn't, and maturity to not confuse momentary passion with long-term peace. There's a kind of love that goes deeper than butterflies, deeper than emotional highs and romantic gestures. It's the kind of love that doesn't just make your heart beat faster. It helps your life move forward. This is love that aligns with purpose. And when you understand purpose, you stop chasing relationships that look good and start waiting for the one that fits the mission God placed in you. Purpose is not just about what you do. It's about who you are, who you're becoming, and what your life is meant to contribute. And because love has the power to influence everything in your life, your mindset, your energy, your faith, your future, it must align with that deeper calling. Anything that pulls you away from purpose, no matter how passionate it feels, is not love. It's distraction. When God writes your love story, He doesn't just consider compatibility. He considers calling. He knows the assignment He gave you. He knows the impact you're supposed to have. And so, when He sends someone, it's not just someone to hold your hand. It's someone who can handle your vision, someone who will support your growth, not shrink from it. Someone who will challenge you when necessary, not coddle you into complacency. Too often, people get into relationships that meet emotional needs but sabotage spiritual direction. They fall in love with potential or chemistry, not realizing that alignment matters more than attraction. You can't walk in two different directions and build a future together. Love that aligns with purpose doesn't compete with your destiny. It complements it. Purpose. Aligned love gives you permission to be fully you. You don't have to hide your calling, your dreams, or your fire just to keep the peace. You're not afraid to dream big because your partner isn't intimidated by your ambition. They pray with you, build with you, and grow with you. They're not trying to be your purpose. They're helping you walk in it, and you're doing the same for them. This kind of love doesn't demand that you shrink to fit into someone else's world. It stretches both of you to rise into who you were created to be. You become better not just emotionally, but mentally, spiritually, and relationally. Together you move in rhythm, not perfectly, but purposefully. Love that aligns with purpose also brings peace, not the absence of conflict, but the presence of clarity. You don't have to guess where you stand. You don't have to perform to be loved. You don't feel pulled between who you love and what you're called to do. Instead, you feel supported, encouraged, covered. That kind of relationship doesn't just excite you, it edifies you. But to attract love that aligns with purpose, you have to first walk in purpose yourself. You can't expect alignment when you're still out of position. This is why personal development, spiritual growth, and self-awareness matter. You must become the kind of person that the right person is praying for. It's not about perfection, it's about preparation. When you're walking in your assignment, it becomes easier to discern who's walking with similar values, vision, and faith. This kind of love may not come as quickly as the world's version of romance, but it's worth the wait. Because it's built on something deeper than feelings. It's built on foundation. When storms come, when life gets hard, when the emotional high fades, it's that shared purpose that keeps you grounded. You're not just in love with each other, you're on mission together. You're not just building a life, you're building legacy. There's something deeply frustrating about knowing what you want but not knowing when it will happen. Especially when it comes to love, you can meet the right person at the wrong time and it won't work. You can be in the right mindset but meet someone who isn't ready. Timing is not just a detail in love, it's a determining factor. Because no matter how strong the connection, no matter how deep the chemistry, if the timing is off, the relationship will struggle to survive. We live in a culture that glorifies speed. Fast relationships, quick results, instant gratification, but God doesn't operate on our clock. He works by seasons, not seconds. He knows what you need, but He also knows when you need it. And more often than not, the delay isn't a denial, it's development. It's a sacred pause designed to prepare you for what you're praying for. Sometimes you're ready for love in your heart, but not in your habits. You desire commitment, but you're still unhealed from the last breakup. You want a partner, but you're still learning how to be one. Timing forces you to face these truths. It invites you to ask, am I truly prepared for what I'm asking God to give me? Because love is more than an answer to loneliness. It's a responsibility. There are moments when you feel overlooked. You see others getting engaged, married, or starting families, and you begin to question what's wrong with you. But timing is personal. Just because someone else is receiving their blessing doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It means their season has come, and yours is on its way, but it's being perfected behind the scenes. You can't see the roots growing under the soil, but that doesn't mean the tree isn't about to bloom. Timing protects you from entering something prematurely, because premature love can feel promising at first, but without the maturity to sustain it, it collapses. Timing ensures you don't just fall in love, you stay in love. It gives you the emotional, mental, and spiritual readiness to not just receive love, but reciprocate it in a healthy way. When God delays something, it's often because He's doing something in you or in the person you're meant to be with. Maybe they need time to heal. Maybe you need time to discover who you are outside of relationship. Maybe there are lessons that can only be learned in solitude. We don't like to admit it, but some of our most important growth happens in the waiting. The truth is, the right person at the wrong time can feel like the wrong person. Because when someone isn't ready to love you the way you deserve to be loved, it won't matter how good your intentions are. If they're still growing, still figuring out who they are, still chasing things that don't align with your values, the connection becomes a distraction instead of a blessing. Timing matters because maturity matters. And maturity isn't just about age, it's about awareness, accountability, and alignment. It's about being ready to build, to compromise, to commit for the long haul. Love that lasts isn't made in moments of passion. It's made in moments of discipline. And that kind of love doesn't come on your schedule. It comes on God's. Trusting timing doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing your part while letting go of the parts you can't control. It means becoming who you were created to be so that when the right person arrives, you meet them whole, not half. It means understanding that your story isn't late, it's unfolding exactly as it should. Waiting can feel like the hardest part of any journey, especially when it comes to love. It tests your patience, your faith, your identity, and sometimes your hope. You see others stepping into relationships, getting married, building families, and you wonder if God has forgotten about your desires. You try not to compare, but it's hard not to feel the silence. Yet what most people don't realize is that waiting is not a punishment, it's a preparation. The wait isn't empty. It's not a void where nothing is happening. It's a season where everything is being shaped. Your character, your confidence, your calling. You're not being delayed without reason. You're being developed, and development is never wasted. Every day you wait with purpose. You're becoming more of who you're meant to be. You're becoming the version of yourself that your future relationship will need. Waiting forces you to slow down and look within. It gives you time to heal from what you haven't fully processed, to address the heartbreaks you tried to outrun, to confront the insecurities you buried under busyness. It gives you the opportunity to unlearn patterns that would have sabotaged something real. It creates space to rediscover who you are when you're not tied to anyone else's expectations. In the waiting, God teaches you how to love yourself. Not in a superficial, self-help kind of way, but in a deep, spiritual, transformative way. You learn to stop performing for attention. You learn to stop negotiating your worth for temporary companionship. You begin to realize that being single isn't a season of lack, it's a season of leverage. It's when you have the freedom to grow without limits, to dream without compromise, and to chase after purpose without distraction. The wait is also where your faith is refined. You don't just trust God for the relationship. You trust Him in the silence, in the not yets, in the almosts and could have beens. You learn how to pray differently. Less about asking for someone to show up and more about becoming the kind of person who will know what to do when they do. You stop asking when and start asking who, and not just who is coming, but who are you becoming? Waiting reveals what's really in your heart. Are you looking for love to heal you, to validate you, to rescue you? Or have you learned to bring wholeness to the table so that love becomes a partnership, not a project? When you embrace the wait, you start to filter your desires through wisdom, not just emotion. You don't just want someone who looks good. You want someone who's built for the life you're building, and that level of clarity only comes through time. Sometimes God delays what you want because He knows you're not ready to receive it in a way that will honor it, or because what you want right now is smaller than what He's planning. The wait isn't wasted because God uses it to upgrade your vision. He stretches your faith to believe for more than you were originally asking. He aligns your expectations with His intentions. And then there's this truth. Some of the things you're learning in your waiting season will be the exact things that sustain your relationship in the future. The patience you build now will keep you calm in conflict. The self-awareness you develop now will help you communicate better. The strength you gain now will carry you through challenges you don't even see coming yet. Every lesson, every tear, every lonely night has purpose. Every unanswered prayer is shaping you for what's ahead. So when it comes to love, real, lasting, God-ordained love, this isn't about chasing someone to complete you, rushing into something out of fear, or settling for connection without alignment. This is about trusting a God who sees the whole picture when all you can see is one piece. It's about surrendering your timeline, healing into wholeness, choosing discernment over fleeting desires, aligning love with your greater purpose, respecting divine timing, and believing that even in the waiting, something sacred is happening. Letting God guide you to your true love means you don't have to manipulate outcomes, fake peace, or force compatibility. You can rest in the truth that God knows your heart, He sees your journey, and He has not forgotten you. The love He writes won't confuse you, diminish you, or distract you. It will honor you, challenge you, and partner with your purpose. You're not waiting for a fairy tale, you're being prepared for a legacy. And when that love comes, you'll know, because it won't just feel right. It will be right, spiritually, emotionally, and purposefully aligned. That's the love worth waiting for. That's the love worth trusting God for.